Welcome back to the HGC Korean broadcast, the English broadcast here. My name is Wolf. With me is GLuck. The 3-0s are over. Ballistics was able to make that late game fight happen. They were able to turn the series into a 3-1. And besides that, they were pretty dominated by Tempest. Our second series of the night, however, Miracle versus GLuck, could be an interesting one.
Oh, yes. As you already saw hints from the game where we had Miracle versus Supernova, it was 3-0. And with a
close
bit of
3-0,
luck.
but
close
yeah.
3, especially game 2 and 3. And GLuck so far to be contested because last time I believe they were against Tempest. And it was, yes, that was over quickly. And same thing could happen. I mean, Miracle, they seem a lot better with the roster change. And GLuck still really just following up with the MSB meta into week 1. But
Yeah.
we're still yet to see what else they have brought in. I think Irel, we can actually continuously to see this pick. Not really being banned out too much.
Yeah, I think it's a pick that especially feels kind of niche. Like, it's really good for anti-dive, especially when you have like a really glass cannon-esque DPS, like Dami was saying earlier. It's a strong matchup into a lot of solo lanes. Not oppressive, per se, like Malthael used to be, but like, you can't really lose lane hard as Urel against a melee hero, and very rarely do we see ranged, top laners. So I do think we will see Urel make an appearance in this series as well. I'll be tracking this, of course, NA and EU, or EU and then NA, to see where she falls. We already saw pre-buff Urel used, and they got a 3-0 in EU, but that was a kind of a funky situation. But now that she's buffed, like, she's obviously going to see more involvement. I'm excited to see kind of like where at the end of this week of HGC more than anything else, is she really strong? Like, is it like a Blaze situation? Because remember, Blaze started off slow like this as well and then became like the go-to pick.
One of the better picks for the solo lane. Maybe it could continue, and also a trending downfall of Tracer. Not just from the nerf, actually changing a little bit of a changing in the meta as well.
Yeah, and Urel makes Tracer tougher to use.
Yes, Urel does counter that pulse bomb a lot. She's pretty tanky. You can't really get too many kills from Tracer onto Urel. It's not gonna happen too many times. As we see Miracle here with the changed roster with Blue Beetle, Nachojin, and even Frankel joining the team.
Yeah, it's a very completely different roster. Remember, Sniper really the only original member on the squad, Judy the next most veteran. So only 2 of the 5 that were previously on the team remain, and they of course are looking to be very improved. Like you said, against Supernova, there was some times where Supernova had massive leads in the early game and Miracle was able to win in the late game. And that's the first thing you really notice about this team versus their past, because they just look to be able to make those better shot calls, make those better decisions in the late game they didn't before.
Yeah, and for GLuck, they tried a lot of different things like Lunara and Jaina, picking up Phoenix for different maps. Stars of Doom, Dragonshire, Sky Temple, accordingly.
Yeah, Asgard's Lunara was really good. I actually really appreciated that. That was the first time I looked at Lunara and said, well, you know what, this actually could be terrifying right now. In our first 2 days of HGC, we saw a ton of Lunara in Korea, and it looked fearsome. Didn't end up winning any games, if I remember correctly, but it looked like really, really powerful, and then obviously has since fallen off. Let's not see any play today. Did not, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, only a few by Ballistics. I think that was it. Maybe just one.
Yeah,
because I can't even remember as much either.
Yeah, it's just been like something that we have to keep in mind for Asgard. I think is the most important way to look at it.
And most of the time they had Mayem involved as well. They have that massive team, but they picked Mayem as like the first pick every single time, which was basically countered so many times against the team. But it was against Tempest, maybe against Miracle. It may not be the same story.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the battlegrounds we'll be having. It will be BOE to start this off, picked by GLuck. First ban will go to Miracle, with Tomb of the Spider Queen removed and the removal of Infernal Shrine. So both Braxis and Volskaya remain open for this best of 5.
Are you really going to test yourself out? Maybe with Braxis, if you want to have first pick as well, but if you choose map, you can't have first pick, so might as well be away. Maybe have something else with the second pick. Have the fifth pick as your secret spot.
Well, this is already a very different draft start to what we saw in our first series. The first ban, Blaze.
Yeah, just sniping onto the top lane. Just Blaze. Oftentimes,
Could be looking for a Yrel pick here it's not going to be first pick, obviously, but if you can take it in your second rotation, ends up being good. You left the Hanzo open, GLuck, so they're going to take it. That's what the Blaze ban here is really for, is to just leave the Hanzo open.
and also Blaze has helped them a lot, even though you have the Yrel pick. Hold on for a second, because Blaze actually, with the bunker, you have a lot more space, especially your mage, the ones without the escapes, to escape with the bunker and survive at least a little bit longer of a time, especially for Jaina. Get in there, have your cooldowns, and then come back, just use your skills once again. It forgives your positioning mistakes as well, so it has been the go-to pick for the lower teams for sure for all regions, but that's why we have the Blaze first ban here.
And the ban also kind of like pairs with the fact that they might have been trying to get the Yrel themselves. GLuck takes that to the highest level here and picks it themselves, so now the Blaze ban kind of works against Miracle in some ways. So the best and most common way to use the Hanzo pick is with the Li Ming in terms of DPS, right? They grab the Malfurion, highest tier support at the moment, to Haka, so that they can weaken Yrel's impact on the lane. Because she'll have to come down first. The Haka can of course brush stalk in. For GLuck now, I think they should put some real consideration into a Li Ming ban. The way that everyone's playing around Miracle all year long, even with this new roster, has been to target Judy's hero pool for the most part. They didn't want to give the Genji first pick, so they banned it, so they couldn't actually go into the tank bans we saw previously in their last series. Or the similar bans to what we saw like Supernova do against Miracle. And Judy still has been the weak link, however improved he has looked. You know, there have been a few mistakes here and there, and his hero pool is still one that leaves you wondering, right? And that's where we do see the Garrosh ban come through. The Maiev ban. Judy smiles when he sees the Garrosh ban, knowing that as much as it is a target on his hero pool, it's also a sign of respect.
Just understanding the team that they always go for that Maiev, and maybe even for a Planet Cracker, but seems not likely with Reg Arterial picked up. They have to get one more source of damage for themselves. Yrel does not really put out too much in terms of the team fight. Can help with the shield from Tyrael and the armor as from Yrel as well. But only on Phoenix, not going to be lack of damage, kind of like what we saw from Ballistics already tonight.
And how Yrel functions in this comp is very similar to what we saw earlier with the Sergeant Hammer Li Ming. Very much protective peel for the Phoenix with the Tyrael and the Rhaegar. Killing Phoenix is going to be so difficult with the cleanse available. Yrel has the ability to grab her level 4 semi-cleanse that removes you know, slows and roots, which is very powerful against Malfurion, so I think that will be picked up. So the second DPS could be another one of these kind of defensive glass cannons. Obviously, Li Ming was going to be the DPS choice, but they're going to grab the ETC as well. Not the greatest pick into Tyrael in terms of setting up power slides and team fights, but it's still a strong meta pick right now. I think better than the Muradin here. Not Judy's greatest hero by any means. In fact, one of the rarer ones to see him play. But let's see how he plays it. For GLuck, you know, honestly, a Greymane feels like it fits the bill. It's been a little bit less common in recent times. We did see the auto attack build coming out just earlier today. It was not the buffed cocktail. So I'm not saying it's somebody they have to pick, but it's definitely a solid pick in terms of race, because it's poke on the other side plus race. You've got a good auto attacking hero in Phoenix. Maybe looking for some burst damage that pairs well with the Tyrael Rhaegar could be the way to go about things, and it will be the Greymane. I like this pick a lot. It's again, rarer one for this meta, but you've just got so many great tools to make sure that Greymane is going to be able to do that damage. It will be the formerly known as Darvish Meissen who will play this hero here. Didn't get to talk to you about Meissen because I was casting with Rapid when they last played, but it was kind of cool to see Darvish back in the scene. I think a very underappreciated player who's always been kind of at the top of Heroes of the Storm in terms of the ladder. He's always been relevant. He's always been like a top 18 player. So I was sad when he was gone, but he's back.
Was it Miracle a long time ago?
Yeah. So faces his former team now.
But as a support, now as a DPS. A different role in his new team. With the same keyword though.
Keep showing this really spooky guy back here. I never noticed him before.
Pretty sure Gilly knows the name.
Yeah, she does. I don't think that's actually Beleth. Like, a little bit different than the immortal itself. It's just a demon of some kind. Very hellish looking.
From Diablo. I know that.
We know that much.
But that's about it though.
Oh, I thought he was from Candy Crush.
Hey Wolf, that's another game. We can't say that.
He's from Lost Vikings, right?
From the North European
He's from
place?
the Raven
Yes.
comic. No, yeah, he's from Diablo. I just don't know where exactly. Maybe he just looks like something from Diablo. Maybe he's from Heroes of the Storm. He's just on a Diablo map. We're going to see the same Urel swap, by the way, where you 4-man push top, Urel defending bottom. Miracle is not going to try to trade this out. They don't have a comp that can do that, so they're going to rotate up. With the ETC pick, look at this, Judy's positioning. Woohoo, dismounting him was huge. It was at such a good angle. The dismount that they got on him punished his greed, because he really wanted to get the greedy power slide. But this is a huge win for GLuck in this early game.
It's a huge win, but look at the team call of GLuck once again. With Tyrael, Rega Greymane, Phoenix, those put out some burst damage. They can line up pretty well along with the pokes. But once again, the crowd control, it's going to be the problem. Once they want to really stop the mosh pit and peel for your teammate, that can't really be done too well. They do have Irel, which could peel teammates a little bit, but before the Holy Ground of Tyrael, which could be the actionable tool, they're going to suffer a lot.
I could not agree more. Like, that's I think why they committed this, because they knew they could, if they tripped Miracle up a little bit with the fast damage they have, like with Phoenix plus Greymane, you just blow up a wall so fast, and they got such a good trade in that regard. Like, look at this wall versus the already like basically destroyed wall on the left side. This wall's full health, of course, for Miracle. But I like how GLuck played this, because it helps them keep an even early game. It doesn't win them the early game or anything like that, but it helps them keep it even, which is what they're looking for. If they get the neutral camp here, they're going to push with it, and they continue to lane swap. A lot of teams have been trying to figure out how to deal with Dahaka in this meta, and mostly it's been heavy ganks, especially with like post-10 Hanzo arrows and stuff like that, or false stud flights. But in this case, they just deal with Dahaka by lane swapping to him and attacking him. And it forces this awkward other soul lane. Uh-oh, Meissen stuck in the root. Barely saved here by KCB. KCB even trying to use himself to peel and body block. He's so low. Huge hammer there from Asgard. Will help keep him alive. Bit of an overextension there, you could say. A bit.
But they got what they wanted. They got all the towers down onto the top and the bottom lane before. But they lost the top camp, but they got the trade onto the bottom, and they're starting at about the same time. So I can't really say it was too bad for GLuck. Actually, a great start for them.
Yeah, just keeping the game even. That's their goal here. Obviously, they would love to get a massive lead, but that's so difficult for them. So this feels like a win. Look at Asgard's positioning here on the Urel. He's trying to look for opportunities. Does not find any. So Asgard is actually kind of playing a bit of an off role here on this Urel.
Ooh, nice face melt into the stun. Something like what we saw from Sign, from Tempest. Judy trying to continue the trend on the ETC on this BOE.
Do you have a strong opinion on Overlord's solo laning? Because He's switching roles back to the Phoenix here, but in one sense, he's actually playing the off lane.
Yes.
Because of the lane swaps are doing. So like he technically is still kind of a solo laner in this game.
And that's also because of the level 1 talent. You have so much more wave clear.
Yeah.
And
this is barely won by Miracle, meanwhile. We didn't really play that, but you guys can see. Very close fight. So you think that Asgard swapping this ends up working out? I kind of agree.
yeah, actually not too bad. Along with Tyrael, you do have the melee, and once Dehaka comes to grab, which we saw early on, you can just hammer Dehaka out, make sure it doesn't really catch anyone. Oh, the Phoenix gets caught.
Oh, interrupting the warp! That was so cool.
Yeah, nicely done by Judy, but seems like they just lacked a little bit of damage there.
Judy looking good on this ETC thus far. Several really big plays. Sure, they lack the damage to get the kill, but Nitrogen's going to go ahead and commit into a brush stalk. They want Overlord. He's got nowhere to run. Interrupting the warp again is that tongue grab, and that's going to be first blood in this game. Immortal falls, but so will the fort. As meanwhile, Asgard is soaking top alone while Nitrogen came down. We'll get this wall here, but the trade is obviously a winning one for Miracle. The experience lead they have is represented by, the fort kill they got is represented in the level lead they have in terms of experience. So this isn't going to happen for Asgard, but they are going to rotate up.
Oh, and Li Ming is actually rotating safely all the way back to the left side.
Brushstock is not up yet, but it should be pretty soon. So like in maybe 10 seconds or so.
Oh, again is trouble, starting with the power slide route and everything. Just lining up after that.
Well, you know, Overlord's been playing exclusively solo lane, which has been a pretty tanky meta for a long time now. So when you're practicing that, sometimes you forget when you switch over to DPS with these kind of lane swaps, like you are actually pretty squishy. Got to be careful at positioning. Sometimes it feels like warp is a free escape, but it doesn't always work out that way in practice. Slick escape here by Nitrogen. They're going to get a whole wall down here during this rotation. They're kind of avoiding GLuck. Like, the macro play from Miracle here is exquisite. We saw them struggle in some points versus Supernova, who seemed to be a very strong team. But in this game, when they faced their first quote-unquote weaker opponent, they look god tier, you know? Like, this is certainly a new Miracle. This is not the phase 1 Miracle. Frankel's under a lot of pressure here. There's no way to save him. Nature's Cure are going to help him get out. But while this happens, GLuck converts onto the Immortal, gets the hit point lead, just slightly.
And they do have the Grey Mage. Phoenix, who got caught several times, but not the worst case scenario for them. Because they still focusing on to Nitrogen, who's buying a lot of time. Still has Burrow.
Would love to get a pick before 10, but yeah, as you say, the Burrow is still available. He got the trait value there off of his self-heal. GLuck just splitting off to get some experience here because they need that 10 so desperately. They eliminated a lot of the shields on the Immortal. So even though this is a bad situation for GLuck, they could feel like they made the most of it. I think they really did. They safely escaped bot lane. As long as Overlord can, I think, improve his positioning post-10, they have a really great way to jump back into this game. Because as you were pointing out in the early game, you know, you put it very well. Like, pre-10 it's going to be tough. They wanted to stay even. And with the lane swaps, they were able to do so thus far until Overlord got picked. Nitrogen's going to be the target again. They want to collapse onto this Dehaka, but with no minions to tank, Fort will keep them alive.
And they're not losing any minion experience, even at the bottom. Miracle just holding that stage dive, really? I don't think that's the case. You do want to have the mosh pit against basically no CC.
Yeah, like basically literally no CC. Be very difficult to, if not impossible, to hit the hammer there. Okay, he's gonna lock it in. Oh, it's a triple! Judy!
That was basically the mosh pit. It says, what are you trying to do?
Do you lock it in? Oh, well, when you get that power slide, you certainly do. You certainly do.
Bloodlust actually locked in, but the game may be over before your teamfight happens.
Oh, he's gonna need it to defend, maybe.
Only 8 seconds. Look at that. HGC's connect even after the glutton cleanse. Oh, Bison so close to be going down.
If only he had an Ancestral. Alright, this actually may just be a sub 10-minute game. Tranquility here to keep everyone alive to Sank so they can collapse in.
Pretty good of a placement actually. Phoenix does go down. The burst damage from Sniper is actually having a great time.
Gonna trade it back, but the core is already down to 20%. They've got enough damage to burst it down. Huge hammer comes out from Asgard, and that is going to be a very fast game number 1 coming out from Miracle. Judy with the ETC absolutely stomping GLuck, and also I think more than stopping GLuck, just totally shutting down Overlord. He was irrelevant in this game. And partially because of Irel, so I'm not, no pun intended. But I can't believe I never thought of making that when she was, before she got buffed and she was irrelevant in the meta. But I would love to see, and we will see, the hero damage for Overlord. Okay, he sits at 19k, still topping his team, but because he spent so much time dead, unfortunately just didn't make a big impact.
And
so
then look at Frankel, having 30k with the reset, having his skill shots right on there, but oh man, that was rough. I actually shed a tear.
I almost feel bad for them, you know?
I know, I actually did. Look, whoa, I actually shed a tear here.
Jacob's actually crying. He's like, oh my god, the day that Judy carries, like, this is inspirational.
That mosh pit was so sad in many ways.
Yeah, it was actually
I couldn't
GLuck's
even
fault,
say
like,
a
more
single
than,
thing.
It was GLuck's fault more than it was Miracle's win there. Look, they played their players on heroes based on the lane swaps in the early part. That's why Asgard was playing the Urel, and they had Overlord on the Phoenix. So, you know, it makes sense why they put these players on these heroes, but it's a new squad, a new roster.